Is that better? Because I do feel
Yes.
where I am here in Northampton with 4G, I've sort of it goes in and out a lot. But is that better?
Yes, it is. Thank you. Thank you.
Oh, good. That's good then.
Well, Mark, I've been looking at page 235 of Revelation, its grand climax at hand.
Yes.
The end of paragraph 2. Do you mind if I read it?
Yeah, of course you can. Yeah, read it. Yeah, that's fine.
We read, however, that by her spiritualistic practice, all the nations were misled. This makes it clear that the great harlot must be a worldwide religious entity. Then the start of paragraph 3. Which religious entity? Is she the Roman Catholic Church, as some have maintained? Or is she all of Christendom? No, she must be even larger than these if she is to mislead all the nations. She is, in fact, the entire world empire of false religion.
Yeah. I've got that paragraph here.
So, the great harlot, would that be the same as the whore of Babylon? It is talking about Revelation 17.
Yeah, Revelation 17. It's the harlot that sits on the scarlet-coloured wild beast. And there's a harlot on there, and then eventually the prophecy says that it turns on her and devastates her. And the scarlet-coloured wild beast is the United League of the United Nations, which used to be the League of Nations.
Hang on. No, let's just read this again, because I'm trying to understand what the book says.
Yes.
Paragraph 3. Which religious entity? Is she the Roman Catholic Church, as some have maintained? Or is she all of Christendom? No, she must be even larger than these if she is to mislead all the nations. She is, in fact, the entire world empire of false religion. Her origin in the mysteries of Babylon is shown in that many Babylon doctrines and practices are common to two religions around the earth.
Yeah. That's right, yeah. So, yeah, go on. Sorry, carry on.
Yeah. So this harlot, would this be the same as the whore of Babylon? Some of the older Bibles, like the King James, talks about the whore of Babylon.
Well, if it's in the same chapter, because our Bible we've got is more sort of like up to date, as it were, with sort of like language and everything else. So if it's in that chapter, then they could call it the whore of Babylon. It's the one that sits on the scarlet-coloured wild beast in the prophecy.
Okay, and what exactly is it? Is it the book seems to be saying that it's the Catholic Church plus all the churches of Christendom. Does that mean all the Protestant and the Orthodox? Could I just finish? Can I just finish? Is it saying that it's all the Protestant and all the Orthodox churches together with the Catholic Church?
Yes, everything. Yeah, because what it pictures the world empire of false religion. In other words, which includes those who claim to be Christian and all those that don't claim to be Christian. Because that's what it's picturing. Because her origin, and there's many Babylonish doctrines and practices that are common to religions around the earth. Carry on.
I've got no interest in Islam and Hinduism. I'm simply interested in the Catholic Church, the Protestant churches, and the Orthodox churches. Because although I might disagree with some of the teachings of some of them, I do believe that there are genuine Christians in some of these groups. Is this saying that all of the Protestant churches, plus all of the Orthodox churches and the Roman Catholic Church, are this harlot?
Yes, all of the harlot pictures, the one empire of false religion, which includes
you're going in and out. You're going in and out. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Is that better?
Yes, it is, Mark. Sorry, I interrupted you. I beg your pardon.
No problem. That's okay. That pictures, all religions, which are, as it says, the entire world empire of false religion, which includes all of Catholicism, Protestants, all of those, because of their, as it mentions there, you've got these Babylonish doctrines and practices that are common to many of them. For example, it meant to point their belief in the inherent immortality of the human soul, in a hell of torment, and in a trinity of gods, are to be found in most Oriental religions, as well as in the sects of Christendom as well. which is Babylonish teachings. Yeah, so they are affected by
So would that include the Anglican Church? Because I used to go to an Anglican church in Foy, only occasionally when I went to visit my mother when she was alive.
Because they believe in the Trinity, don't they? They believe in the immortality of the soul and all of these things, which are all inherent. If you go right back to Babylonish teachings, going right back to there, because more than 4,000 years ago in Babylon, it's, as it says there in the paragraph, it's developed into the modern monstrosity that is called appropriately Babylon the Great. And that's how it's described in Revelation as well, as Babylon the Great. And it's very interesting, really, how organisation, the meaning of these prophecies are so. If you think about that, the harlot sitting on the scarlet-coloured wild beast, and it pictures a time when, like, the scarlet-coloured wild beast turns on false religion, and that represents the United Nations turning on religion, false religions around the world. It's very interesting, really, when you think about it.
So I used to be a member of the Anglican Church. Would the Anglican Church, would you say it's a part of this?
Yes, part of it.
Including the head of the Anglican Church?
Yes. Yeah.
Well, the head of the Anglican Church is Her Majesty the Queen. Would you see Her Majesty the Queen as being part of this?
Well, yeah. I mean, most are misled by, if you like, when you think of false religion, because it misleads people. It misleads them into thinking that, I mean, you're probably well aware, because you said you've spoken to those on the trolleys, that the God that we serve and the God in the Bible that's mentioned by me is Jehovah.
Sorry, could you say that again? You're breaking up a bit, sorry.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, sorry, yeah. The God of the Bible, the one that we worship, is the one that's named in the Bible, which is Jehovah. And you see, those that, and when you think about it, we bear the name Jehovah's Witness, and we're the only religion in the world, if you like, that is life-orientated, not death-orientated. In other words, with the majority of Babylonish teachings,
but you haven't. Yeah, but you haven't proven that any of these are Babylonish teachings at all. I mean, just to make a claim doesn't make it so. And the word Jehovah is not found in any text of the Bible anywhere. It's 4 letters with no consonants, YHWH.
Yeah, well, that's the nearest you're right, that's true, you are correct.
And they did not have the J sound. It was a Roman Catholic monk in the 13th century called Raimundo Martini who came up with the word Jehovah, which is impossible because the Jews didn't have the J pronunciation.
Yes, that's good.
I've looked at your Kingdom Interlinear, the purple edition, and at the end of the introduction to the purple edition, it admits that Yahweh is a more proper pronunciation than Jehovah.
Yes, it is. That's right, because we can only get near that we can in the English language. You're true. You're very right.
Yes.
The Jewish language, was a very descriptive language, and but the nearest we can get with the consonants and everything is the name Jehovah. But you are right, because if you go to a foreign country where they've got a different language, it will be pronounced slightly differently.
Yes.
According to the language. Yeah.
Okay, well, I can't say I'm not shocked by your comment that all the Protestant churches are sort of part of this harlot. I mean, would you see the Jehovah's Witness religion as being part of this harlot?
Well, I think ones have to come to that view themselves,
What does the book say?
In which paragraph are you looking at now? Which one are you looking at?
On page 235, it talks about the religions of Christendom being the harlot. And I'm asking you, would the Jehovah's Witnesses be a part of that harlot?
They wouldn't be part of that harlot, no, because we are serving the true God, Jehovah, the God there that's mentioned in the Bible. And, we keep separate from the teachings that we have from the Bible. The Bible, for example, clearly shows that there isn't like a soul that goes off at death, because the Bible speaks about that when you die, then you're non-existent. So, and the Bible
when you die, you're non-existent?
Yeah, you are. It's like a candle. If you've got the illustration of like a candle, the flame. You see, when you take away that, when you put out that flame, it's non-existent, isn't it? It doesn't exist.
How would you explain 2 Corinthians chapter 5, verse 8, where Paul said, to be absent from the body and to be at home with the Lord?
Yeah, well, I'll have to look at, because obviously that's an interesting one.
Excuse me.
That's what, yeah, I suppose if you've got a lot of questions, which is true, a lot do. It probably would be better to sort of meet up, go through some, and the questions that you've got. Then it'll give me a chance to have a look as well. Because you've got to look at the context as well of the scriptures. It's very important, that, because when you look in the verses and you look at like what Paul was saying there in Corinthians, when you look in the context, it reveals the tenor, if you like, of what was being discussed very often. But yeah, you see, that is about, these things do originate from ancient Babylon, because they believed in that, didn't they?
Well, you haven't proven that. I mean, I've spoke to the Mormons the other week. Just because the Mormons tell me something and give me their literature, it doesn't make it true, does it? If a Mormon gives you a literature, that's right. It doesn't mean that is absolute truth, just because they've given you a book or a piece of literature.
Yeah,
Can I just read 2 Corinthians 5? 2 Corinthians chapter 5, verse 6 to 8. This is the King James. I've got a bit of a tickly cough. Therefore, we are always confident, knowing that whilst we are at home in the body, we are absent from the Lord. For we walk by faith, not by sight. We are confident, I say, and willing rather to be absent from the body and to be present with the Lord. So Paul says that when he's absent from the body, he's present with the Lord. And both are present tense. They're both written in the form of the present tense that implies continuing action. So it's like
what chapter and verse is that one there?
2 Corinthians chapter 5, verses 6 to 8.
5 verses 6 to 8, yeah.
Let me just take a look. So in the latter part of the passage, you have two aorist infinitives. So at the start, it was home in the body is a present, right? But in the latter, absent from the body and home with the Lord, these are two aorist infinitives, and they indicate a kind of once-for-all action. And let me just read it again. Therefore, we are confident, knowing that while we are home in the body, aorist infinitive, we are absent from the Lord. No, sorry. We are confident, I say, verse 8, and willing rather to be absent from the body, aorist infinitive. I'm getting confused. I'm looking at some notes I've got here. And to be present with the Lord. So absent from the body and present with the Lord, it's like two sides of a coin. If you've got a coin, you've got heads and tails. And these two statements, absent from the body and home with the Lord, are both aorist infinitives, and they imply a once-for-all action. So the moment you're absent from the body, you die, you go to be present with the Lord.
Yeah, well, Paul said that the hope, when you think about it, that it was common to anointed Christians, because this is where the different hopes come in. The hope for anointed Christians is to go to heaven. Part of the 144,000 that's spoken of there in Revelation. And they were to inherit, like a heavenly dwelling where they would be. And this would come about not through some presumed immortality of the soul. Just one second, right?
Yeah, sure.
What's going on this phone call? Sorry, just at the moment. You just pop it in there. Okay? Thanks. Okay. It said, that wouldn't happen through some presumed immortality of the soul, but through a resurrection. during Christ's presence. So that's when he talks about that in that verse. That's what it's referring to.
Sorry, what? I'm sorry. Could you? I don't understand that.
Yeah, well, from our translation, it says in verse 8.
Could you read it rather than talk about it? Could you actually just read it?
Yeah, I'll read it back. It back. It says, "We are of good courage and are well pleased rather to become absent from the body and to make our home with the Lord." And then he says there as well. That's right. That's what it says, isn't it, in verse 8?
Yeah, and they're both aorist infinitives. Absent from the body, aorist infinitive. Home with the Lord, aorist infinitive. They both happen at the same time because they're like two sides of the same coin, heads and tails on a coin. They happen at the same time.
See, Jesus is going to prepare a place there for them, but the hope that was common to anointed Christians was a heavenly dwelling. So Jesus there to those ones who are anointed. Now, I'm not anointed, so my hope is an earthly hope. But there are ones, of anointed ones, who have got the heavenly calling, as it were, and they make up that number, the 144,000. And Jesus there, what Paul was really saying was that we are of good courage. Paul had that hope of going to heaven, and he says, we're of good courage and are well pleased rather to become absent from the body and to make our home with the Lord. And so that's really what it was mentioning. It was really reaffirming their hope they had, whereby, of course,
it's Mark, it's the moment they die, aorist infinitive, at that very moment they're present with the Lord. Because they're both statements are aorist infinitive. But at the Cart, I was told that this happened in 1914.
No. What happened was it began to start in 1914 when Jesus became king and raised those up to heavenly life. Because when somebody dies, and let's be honest about it, in these particular cases, for those that are anointed, now when one die in the twinkling of an eye, straight away they're like resurrected up to heaven. The ones that have the heavenly calling, they have that hope. It's a wonderful hope that they've got.
And that happened, you say, in 1914?
Right.
That happened in 1914, that resurrection, did it?
Well, it started then, in 1914, yes, when Jesus became king of God's kingdom. And then all power and authority was given to him from Jehovah.
Yeah, but Paul says in 2 Corinthians chapter 5, verse 8, in the aorist infinitive, we are confident, I say, and willing rather, to be absent from the body, aorist infinitive, and be present with the Lord. So he's present with the Lord at the very second that he's absent from the body. At the moment of his death, that's when he's present with the Lord. Just like the people are present with the Lord who have died in Revelation 6, 9 and 10.
Time means nothing to those that die.
I'm sorry?
Died, isn't it? Time means nothing to those who are non-existent when they die. So it's like when you're in the grave, unfortunately, the way that when life completely goes out of the body, and time means nothing to those.
But it's absent from the body, aorist infinitive, and present with the Lord, aorist infinitive. The moment of your death, that is the very instant that you're present with the Lord, not in 1914. And you have people who've died, in Revelation 6, chapter 6, verse 9 and 10, and also Revelation 20, verse 4, you have people who've died. In verse 20, it says they've been beheaded, yet in Revelation 6, 9 and 10, it says that they're martyrs, I think, and they are present with the Lord after their death and before their resurrection. So they're present as souls. Can I just read Revelation 6, 9 and 10? Yeah, thank you.
I'm going to just mention it. If you look at, there's another scripture as well, when such prospects we realise, Christ said it would be when he came again in this future presence in John 14. verse 1 to 3.
I'm sorry, I didn't get that. Do you mind if I just read this verse and then? Would you mind?
Which one are you looking at now? Yeah, which one are you looking at now?
Revelation 6, verse 9 and verse 10. And when he had opened the fifth seal, I saw under the altar the souls of them that were slain for the word of God, and for the testimony which they held. And they cried with a loud voice, saying, How long, O Lord, holy and true, does thou not judge and avenge our blood on them that dwell on the earth? So here are people who are souls. He sees in verse 9 the souls of them who were slain for the word of God. So they've been killed, and they're living with God in God's presence as souls. Revelation 20 verse 4 says more or less the same thing. It talks about people who've been beheaded. And these people who've been beheaded, who don't have bodies, they're ruling and reigning with Christ. Obviously, the context is in heaven.
No, that is actually referring to the ones that were martyred, wasn't it, for the truth?
Yes, but they've been martyred. And it says in Revelation 20 verse 4 and Revelation chapter 6 verse 9 and 10, Mark, that they are souls. And when he had opened the sixth seal, I saw under the altar the souls of them that were slain for the word of God. Revelation 6:9. So he sees the souls of them.
Yeah, well, that's, I suppose, because that was a vision, wasn't it, that he was experiencing at the time. And it's like, because you've got to remember that obviously Revelation is a vision from John. And when you're in a vision, it's not like a dream. It's like you're living the moment when you're in a vision, and it's like that you're transported almost like to another time when you're in a vision, and you know, obviously another Bible verse, it does speak quite plainly that the soul that it is sinning, it itself will die, and you know, you often hear a term, don't you, when people say, "Oh, well, poor old soul, isn't he?"
Yeah, but the word soul, the word soul has a range of meanings.
Living person.
Yes, I know. Soul has a range of meanings. Yeah. And here, in Revelation 6:9, you have souls who are with Christ in heaven after their death as souls. Revelation 6:9, and when he had opened the fifth seal, I saw under the altar the souls of them that were slain for the word of God and for their testimony which they held. Yeah. Now look what they do. These souls who've been killed, and they cried out with a loud voice, saying, How long, O Lord, holy and true, does thou not judge and avenge our blood on them that dwell on the earth? In Revelation 20 verse 4, you have souls who've been beheaded, and those souls who've been beheaded, they don't have bodies, they're living and reigning with Christ. Obviously, the context would be in heaven, because they're reigning as souls. So that would be an example of the soul living on after the body, you see.
Yeah, I think that's where cross-referencing in the Bible, you do get a clear understanding what the soul actually refers to, because a lot do have misconceptions about that the soul leaves the body and goes to heaven, and yet the soul that is sinning, if itself will die. But
how do you explain Revelation 6, 9 and 10? And when he had opened this fifth seal, I saw under the altar the souls of them that were slain for the word of God and for the testimony which they held.
In that Revelation book, you've got the climax book. Yeah. It goes in order through the book in that book. Now, if you go back then and you look at what it will answer that question in that chapter that deals with that particular chapter and verse. Because I remember reading that myself. Have I got a copy? Let me see if I've got a hard copy. I have got I can look at that. Could
I go on to the other? Could I go on to the other questions I've got about the Revelation book? Because I wasn't assuming that we would be discussing the soul. It wasn't something I prepared for.
No, I know. Yeah.
Okay. The second thing about the Revelation, the Grand Climax book, is page 252. It gives a picture of 7 successive world powers.
Yes.
The 7th is the Anglo-American power, and there's a picture of the American flag by the Statue of Liberty, and in the middle of the page you have the Houses of Parliament with the British flag. Yeah. So I take it Anglo means Great Britain.
No, it's a combination. It's a special partnership that they have with each other. the American world power, that's the British.
I said, I assume that Anglo means Great Britain.
With America. Oh, sorry, yes, Anglo, it is, yes. Sorry, yeah.
It's easier if you listen. Yeah, okay. So, would these 7 world powers be a good thing or a bad thing?
Well, it would be, it depends which side you're on. I suppose really it depends what you mean by that.
What is the book saying about these 7 world powers?
You've got it there. Have you got it in front? That 7 world power. Have you got it there in front?
Yeah.
Have you the book? Yeah. Let me just grab a copy myself, because let me just grab that.
I mean, it calls them the 7 heads of that ferocious beast stand for 7 mountains or 7 kings.
Yeah.
This is paragraph 2, page 251. I assume that that's a bad thing.
Yeah. I mean, well, put it this way: the kingdom of Jehovah, God's kingdom, is going to do away with all.
I'm not interested in. I'm not interested. I'm asking about page 252. It's got a picture of Egypt, Assyria, Babylon, Medo-Persia, Greece, Rome, Anglo-America. Now, I'm interested in the 7th head, Anglo-America.
Yeah.
Is this 7th head a good thing or a bad thing? What is the book saying about the 7th head?
It's got it there, hasn't it, about the Anglo-American? Let me just get a copy, because I know you mentioned it and you quickly gone to that, but I need to get a copy from of me here, and I did have a copy before, and I'm just trying to find where it's gone. 1 second now, let me just locate that. I've got it through here. Oh, here we go. Yeah, I know what it was now. Through right, okay. So I've got books. Okay, and then I'll be able to see exactly what you're referring to, because I can't just remember it, off memory completely.
Well, I did give you the page. I did give you the page numbers in advance.
Yeah, but I've got to get it in front of me. So I've got the book in front now.
Yeah.
Okay. So what chapter is that on?
It's page 252. It's chapter 35.
And what's it called? Because I've got chapter numbers. I've got the title of the chapter here.
Executing Babylon the Great.
Right, okay. Got it, right, okay.
Yeah.
Right, so I'm in that now, yeah?
What is the John class, by the way? In point 1 on page 251, it says the John class. This wisdom enlightens the John class and its companions.
Hold on. Let me just read it myself, because in paragraph 1 of chapter 35, yeah?
Yeah.
The angel tells John about the 7 heads, means 7 mountains, where the woman sits, da-da-da. What does it say about the John class in that paragraph?
It quotes, it's paragraph 1, page 251. It quotes Revelation 17, 9 and 10. It then says the angel is here conveying wisdom from above. And then it says this wisdom enlightens the John class. I just wondered what the John class was.
Yes, that's the anointed class. That's the anointed class. The companions are the ones that have the earthly hope.
So the John class is exactly the same as the anointed. Is that right?
Yeah, the anointed class of 144,000, that's it.
So is it all the 144,000, or is it just the 144,000 on earth and the 144,000 in heaven? I'm trying to understand what the term means.
It enlightens the John class, yeah. So if those are alive on the earth, obviously it's the ones that are remaining on the earth.
Right, so the John class, right, let's get this right. So the John class is not the 144,000, it's a part of the 144,000 who are only on the earth.
No, it is. Right. The ones that are on the earth, because obviously the ones that have gone to heaven, I mean, they wouldn't be enlightened.
Sorry, let's start over. I don't understand this. What is the John class? Okay. I'll listen to you. What is the John class?
Okay, so the John class, it says here, this wisdom enlightens the John class and its companions as to the seriousness of the times in which we live. It builds in devoted hearts appreciation of Jehovah's judgments now about to be carried out, and inculcates a healthy fear of Jehovah. That's right. So the John class are Because on the earth, okay, this wisdom it's talking about that enlightens the young class is enlightening the ones that are on the earth that are still remaining as a young class, of the anointed ones, the rest having gone to heaven. And so when they've received their reward up in heaven, then the prophecies here and the words that we've got from Jehovah's Word, they enlighten us on the earth as a young class.
So it's
not a separate section. It's not a separate class of people from the. I mean, ones that die and then they're resurrected straight to heaven. This enlightens the John class here on the earth.
So the John class, am I right in assuming that this would be a claim for the 144,000? That part of them who are not in heaven but are on the earth.
Yes, that's right. Yeah, I mean the ones. If you like to view it this way, let's say, for example, that you've got let's say that you've got, I don't know, let's say, for example, you've got 10,000 on the earth at the moment of the anointed ones, but let's say that when this book was written, there was 15,000, let's just say, I'll only just get the figure out, you know what I mean? Let's say it's 15,000, 5,000 have been resurrected. Now, they've been enlightened while they were on the earth as the John class, because they made up part of that class. They've gone to heaven now, so the rest that are left, still enlightened, that's what it means at any given time. So the John class on the earth, because we are talking about on the earth, aren't we, that it enlightens them.
So the John class, if you can sum it up in 10 seconds, the John class is?
Are the ones remaining on the earth, but they are anointed ones that have the heavenly home.
So it's the anointed ones who are on the earth, not the anointed in heaven or the anointed in total. Right, okay, I didn't know that. Thank you, Mark. I appreciate you explaining that to me. It says in
because sometimes you've got to picture it put in context with what we're reading in the verse as well. That makes a big difference when you look at it as well. But carry on then. Yeah,
so the Anglo-American power as the seventh head, is that seen as a good thing or a bad thing from Jehovah's point of view?
Well, all of the in the end, all the will. This is symbolising in Revelation a time when there'll be no. It will destroy all of the world powers. When Jehovah's Day comes, then all of them that think they're so powerful at the moment with all the weapons that they've got and everything else, they think that they're almost untouchable, and yet Jehovah, because his kingdom is the one that will be established over the earth, and therefore all what are termed as world powers will be gone. Even, what it's picturing here in Revelation is it's given the whole outline of all the world powers that have ever existed.
Are they good or are they bad?
When you say good, they do.
Are they of Jehovah or are they of the devil? Or neither?
Well, Jehovah doesn't control the world powers. So who's the ruler of the world at the moment? It is Satan the devil. He's the one that is ruling the world at the moment. So all of these things that happen, because let's be honest, you've got a great deal of struggling going on with world powers. There always has been. Jehovah allows them to exist because they do provide a measure of peace.
Okay. It says, it talks about 253, paragraph 9, about the eighth king or the eighth head.
What chapter is that?
Same chapter, chapter 35.
Yeah, what
paragraph 8.
Yeah.
The angel further
what's called an eighth king.
The angel further explains to John, and the wild beast that was but is not, it is also an eighth king, but it springs from the seventh and goes off into destruction.
Yes, that's right,
The symbolic scarlet-coloured wild beast springs from the seven heads, that is, it is born from or owes existence to those heads of the original wild beast out of the sea, of which the scarlet-coloured wild beast is an image. In what way? Well, in 1919, the Anglo-American power was the ascendant head. The previous 6 heads had fallen.
Yeah.
And it goes on to say this 8th head is the League of Nations, which became the UN. It seems to imply that it's somehow bad or satanic.
Well, it's an image, it's an image of, because let's be honest, the United Nations has no power on its own. What breathes life into it is like all of the nations that are part of the United Nations, isn't it? And when you look at all the nations, that breathes life into the United Nations, because it's part of many, many nations. So it breathes life into it, so it's an image.
Is it of God or is it of the devil or neither?
It's viewed as the 8th king, of which there'll be no more. This one is the final king of all time, as regards sort of like man's rulership.
Is that 8th king of God or of the devil or neither?
It's not. Satan, the devil, is a god, a small g, not a capital G. There are many things that can be gods. For example, people make material objects gods. It could.
Sorry, just can we just, rather than go off topic, what is the 8th king? It seems to say that it's the League of Nations and the UN. Is that a good thing? Is it of Jehovah or is it of Satan or neither?
No, it's not of Jehovah, And so in that sense, from what you're saying, it's a bad thing, in the point of view that it's part of Satan's rulership of the earth, because Jehovah's allowed him to control man's affairs, and the result of that, his claim that he could rule the earth, he could do a better job of it, if you like, and I'm only just sort of like trying to put it in layman's terms, if you like, that he could make a better job over ruling the earth than what Jehovah could. Sorry,
you've lost me again. What are you talking about? Are you talking about the 8th head?
Yes, the 8th head is all part of Satan's, if you like, all of them, all of the world powers, including the 8th head, and the 8th head is the 8th world power.
Right, well then why on earth did you say to me that the 7th head was neither from God nor of the devil? Because it says here in paragraph 8 that the 8th king or the 8th head comes out of the 7th. It came out of the 7th in the year 1919 when the League of Nations was born. How on earth can the 8th head be satanic and it comes out of something that's neither of God nor of the devil, the 7th head?
Well, it does say here, this 7th head, as the current representative of the line of world powers, was the moving force in establishing the League of Nations and is still the major promoter and financial support of the United Nations. So this 7th head, which is the Anglo-American, they do wield great power. You've only got to see that, haven't you? Like with Trump, you look at Trump today.
I'm not. I just want a straight answer, Mark.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, I don't think I need to say about the 7th head.
Is the 7th head of Jehovah or is it of the devil?
Oh, no,
or neither?
Not. Sorry, no, it's not. No, the 7th head. All of the world powers are not of Jehovah's making.
Then what are they of?
Well, they're man-made, aren't they? All the world powers are man-made, and of which Satan, who is the ruler of the world for this time at the moment as we exist, is controlling them. Right. Because he has got them he's got the power to do that. Satan has to control.
So you're saying that Satan controls each of these 7 heads. Let me go through them. Egypt, Assyria, Babylon, Medo-Persia, Greece, Rome, Anglo-America.
Yeah, that's correct. Yeah, Jehovah has never been a part of any worldly nations or worldly powers, and nor would he have any representation of that political, because this political system is the thing, you see, that when you hear the word political, it's man-made. So
Anglo-America, you're saying, is controlled by Satan in some way?
Yeah, all the world is.
Right.
Everybody is, unless they...
Would that include the head of state of Anglo? We finally agreed means Great Britain. Would that include the head of state?
If you put it in that context, yes, it would. So
that would include the Crown of England?
Yeah, but we're not being we respect. I just want to make this plain that we respect the ones that are, like, for example, the Queen. And it's not the fact that we are against the Queen, and not something that we would never take action like many other religions do when it comes to attacking heads of state. Because there's another scripture that talks about the superior authorities stand placed in their relative positions by God. So Jehovah allows them to exist, and they do a measure of good on the earth. They provide the food we need, for example, and they do produce a measure of peace on the earth as well. I mean, because, America tries to do that, Britain tries to do that. The nation, those ones that rule, they try in all heart and heart to do their best to try to bring about peace.
But
like, for example,
but Mark, you said they were of Satan.
Well, they're influenced by Satan.
Okay, they're influenced by Satan.
Everybody is.
And that, everyone, that would include Anglo-America, that would include the British and the American governments.
Everybody. I mean, Jehovah's people, the ones that serve Jehovah, you see, are obviously not under the influence of Satan. We obviously try to live our lives.
So you're excluded. Jehovah's Witnesses are excluded. They're the only group that are excluded.
I mean, the term excluded would mean, if you like, that we're trying to set ourselves up as being excluded. What we're saying is that, as peace-loving people and loving people, but obviously when we look in the Bible and we look at what the prophecies say, and we are interpreting here what the Bible prophecies talk about, and what we're saying is that this is what the Bible says, and in no way would we use that as anything that would cause, if you like, people to rise up against.
Yes, I know that. Please, let's stop this conversation, because this is beginning to be. You're just going off topic. I don't see how you can say you are respectful to the Queen when you believe that the Queen's authority comes from the devil. Okay.
What we're saying.
Or she's influenced by the devil. Perhaps that's the word you use.
Every human, because Satan is the influence that controls the world, and it's true that it does, because...
Including the Watchtower Bible and Tract Society, you believe that's influenced by the devil?
Well, we're all living on the earth, and so therefore we have to live in a world that is influenced by Satan.
And is the Watchtower Bible and Tract Society influenced by the devil?
No, they're influenced by Jehovah.
So they're not influenced by the devil.
Congregation.
Okay.
No, that's why when you look at the organiser, when you look at it today, it's virtually the only place that people can run to for comfort, because we do teach comfort, we teach love, and we teach about peace, and and following the principles of the Bible. Where can you go today that really teach that? Where can you go today that teach that, for example, that Jehovah is the loving God, he's the only true living God, that's like that gives us a wonderful hope for the future. I mean, and it does, when you read the promises in the Bible, it's like, it is so lovely, the future.
On page 254, it mentions the eighth head, or the eighth king, being the United Nations.
What paragraph's that one then?
Well, it's the whole of page 254, paragraphs 9 and 10. It talks about the United Nations.
Page numbers on it, because I'm looking online. So paragraphs 9 and 10, 9 and 10, yeah.
So the eighth head is the UN, and this is the scarlet-coloured beast, is that right?
Yeah, that's correct, yeah.
And this would be seen as something...
No, you've got to be careful, because the scarlet-coloured wild beast, and as it mentions here, and you've got the other beast as well, the scarlet-coloured wild beast is also itself an eighth king. Thus, the United Nations today is designed to look like a world government. At times, it has even acted like one, sending armies into the field to resolve international disputes, as in Korea, the Sinai Peninsula, some African countries, and Lebanon. But it is only the image of a king, like a religious image. It has no real influence or power apart from what is invested in it by those who brought it into existence and worship it. Which is what I said earlier, didn't I? That it is like an image, that the nations breathe life into it.
Is this...
And on occasion...
Yeah. Is this eighth king of Jehovah, or is it of Satan? Or neither?
When you say Jehovah or Satan, I think I mentioned before, didn't I, that Jehovah has no involvement in politics. In fact, the teaching, Jehovah himself has got no direct involvement in world powers.
So what's the book saying? Is the book saying it's got a picture on the next page, 255, of, let me see, several kings. I think there's 10 kings. They're bowing down to this scarlet-coloured wild beast, and behind their back is a lamb on a hill, and they've all got the backs to the lamb. So just give me a straight answer, please, Mark. What is the book saying about the eighth head, which is the League of Nations, the UN? Is it a good thing that we should all run to and kumbaya, it's wonderful, or is it something that is inspired by Satan or of Satan or neither, or it's of Jehovah, or what?
It's a good question. It's a good question. I mean, Jehovah, like we said, if he does not support worldly powers, so these are allowed to exist. Now, in the end, obviously, when you look at the world and you look at, they try to accomplish the best they can.
What is it of? What is it? Is it of God or is it of the devil?
It's not of God.
Then what is it? Is it of the devil?
Well, I mean, the thing is, when you say is it of the devil, man is allowed to free will, aren't they? I mean, all humans on the earth, we're allowed, we have free will. Jehovah hasn't stopped that, so we all can decide for ourselves what's good and bad, and what is not, and what is the truth and what's not the truth. Now, what is the
scarlet-coloured wild beast?
Well, the scarlet-coloured wild beast is, as it says, it's the United Nations.
And is that a good thing? Is that something that Jehovah approves of?
Well, I, as one of Jehovah's people, Jehovah isn't in favour. He doesn't support the United Nations. He isn't directly involved with the United Nations.
So is it a bad thing?
So
is it a...
If he's not directly involved with it, then what do you think the conclusion?
No, I'm asking you to tell me what the book says. I don't care what I think, and I don't care what you think. What does the book say that the United Nations is? I mean, a scarlet-coloured wild beast that people are bowing down and worship. Yeah. It seems to be portraying it as something satanic to me.
Well, I mean, that obviously, as we said, everything is in the hands of Satan the devil at the moment. So, you know, at the end of the day, we all come under the influence of Satan when, for example, like we're born or whatever. I mean, we all are born into the world.
No, I'm asking you about the UN, Mark. Please don't change the topic. Is the UN, why is the book talking about politics? Why is it talking about the UN? What on earth has this got to do with the Bible? Why is it talking about the UN?
Because it's foretelling the prophecy that's happening as we speak.
And what is that prophecy?
In Revelation.
And what is the prophecy?
Revelation.
What is the prophecy?
Well, the prophecy that you've read from in Revelation. It's being fulfilled, and all of the ones that are pictured in the prophecy are, you know, pictured. It's all coming true.
So what, is the prophecy saying that the UN is, something's going to bring all the people into worshipping Jehovah God, and the UN is...
Oh, no.
Oh.
No, absolutely not, because they have no interest, do they, in promoting Jehovah as the true God.
So what does the UN do? Who does the UN promote? Who does the UN tell people to worship?
Well, when you say tell them to worship, I mean, it's politics, isn't it? It's a political element of the world, yeah.
Okay.
Worship them, who are the leaders, and, you know, and look to them. You see, we don't look, we look to Jehovah.
Yes, it says on page 255, it's got a picture of 10 kings. They're bowing down to a scarlet-coloured wild beast with 7 heads. The lamb is standing on a hill behind them. They've all got their backs to the lamb, and they're bowing down and worshipping this wild beast. The text below the picture says, turning their backs on the lamb, they give their power and authority to the wild beast. I take it the wild beast refers to the UN. Is that correct?
Yes, that's correct, yeah.
Right, so is this a good thing that's happening or a bad thing? And how is this a fulfillment of prophecy? Is this a prophecy that is a good thing that Jehovah approves of, or something that Jehovah doesn't approve of?
Yeah, when you read a bit later about it, it's talking about that the angels hold back the 4 winds of the earth. We are talking about a great tribulation that will happen when Jehovah's day comes. The fact is that, you know, when you look at the prophecy, and, you know, this what we always say is that it's like
I just want to know, is the UN a good thing of Jehovah, or is it a bad thing that's fighting against Jehovah? That's all I want to know.
Well, it is against Jehovah.
Right, we finally got this. So the UN is against Jehovah.
Well, it is, isn't it? Because it promotes the political, the political elements of the world, and that's all it does. It promotes everything to do that is man-made. And, I mean, whenever you hear them talking about Jehovah or his promises for the earth or what Jehovah's going to do, you see. So, because it's all fleshly, people, you know, it's all the fleshly elements of the world, isn't it, if you like. You know, because man thinks, and they do, you know, I mean,
why?
Jehovah allows them to.
Right.
Jehovah does allow them to exist.
Right. Mark, why did the Watchtower Bible and Tract Society join the UN as an NGO, that means non-governmental organisation, in 1992? They were members of the UN for 9 years. They're still connected to the UN today through their subsidiary company, Jehovah's Witnesses in Europe.
Who's that?
Pardon?
Who is that?
Why did the Jehovah's Witnesses join the UN in 1992? They took out NGO membership. NGO means non-governmental organisation.
I don't know about that. I don't know where you're coming from that.
The UN.
Where did you get the source from that?
The UN have admitted on their website that you joined them. They had so many people writing to them and phoning them up and asking why the Jehovah's were listed for 9 years as members of the UN from 1992 to 2001, and to comply with that NGO membership. To comply with that NGO membership, you had to produce articles, usually in the Awake magazine, but there was one in the Watchtower which celebrated the UN's 50th anniversary.
I don't know where you've looked for that. Where did you look for your point of reference on that?
The UN.
Was it on the website?
The UN. The Guardian newspaper broke the story on the 8th of October 2001 that you were members of the UN, and you left the very next day on the 9th.
Well, I don't know where I can't say about that, obviously, because I don't know. I mean, I've never asked, and I don't know.
Would you be willing to look into it and get back to me?
I don't really want to get involved, because obviously that's sort of like side of it. I mean, what we try to do, we're trying to help people to appreciate and to come to worship Jehovah, you know, and we're very pleased to sort of like offer free home Bibles to them, to want to help them to do that. But when it comes to sort of like things like this, where it would need to be, you know, it depends on the source that you found.
Yes, the UN. The UN have admitted you were members for 9 years. They produced a To Whom It May Concern letter because they had so many thousands of replies, and they stated that the Watchtower Bible and Tract Societies were NGO, that means non-governmental organisation, members of the UN for 9 years from 1992 to 2001. And to comply with their NGO membership, you produced articles, at least one a year, but sometimes 2 articles a year, mostly in the Awake magazine, which praised the aims and promoted the aims and the ideals of the UN. So there were gushing articles. There were gushing articles.
You've got references for that, but have you got references directly for that?
Well, you can just go to the UN to jw.org and go to the Awake and just look up references for the UN, and you'll find that when it's the UN Year of the Child, then there's a Watchtower article promoting the Year of the Child and so on. Whatever the UN.
Oh, it makes reference. I know, you've got to be careful, because the Awake, it does make reference to perhaps world events, because at the beginning in the forward to the magazine, it just mentions the Awake keeps watch on world events. I mean, and we do report on things that are happening around the world in Watching the World. We had a little section on that on the back, which was there. And it was very informative, because it did inform us, as to what was going on in the world, that any affiliation to any of those bodies would be something that I've never seen, and I've never ever seen in a way that they're affiliated to the UN at all.
Yeah, you actually took out membership in 1992, and you were members of the UN for 9 years. You're still connected to the UN today, because the Watchtower has a number of subsidiary companies, and one of them is called Jehovah's Witnesses in Europe. And Jehovah's Witnesses in Europe is a subsidiary company. It's not the main company, the Watchtower Bible and Tract Society of New York or the Watchtower Bible and Tract.
Just be careful, because there are ones out there who, like apostates, who try to defame the name of Jehovah's people and what they're doing. So you've just got to be careful and make sure that the sources that you're getting it from are reliable. That's all I would say on that one.
But they're members today of OSCE. That's not the parent organisation, the Watchtower Bible and Tract Society of New York or the Watchtower Bible and Tract Society of Pennsylvania. It's a smaller subsidiary company called Jehovah's Witnesses in Europe. They're members of what's called OSCE, Organisation, Security and Cooperation in Europe.
I think you might find that a lot of this, in the internet now, you get a lot of false, ones that claim that they are Jehovah's Witnesses and these people, and yet when you really look into it, you look like you really research into it, you'll find that they've got no affiliation at all with the Watchtower Bible and Tract Society.
Jehovah's Witnesses in Europe are a company that's owned by the parent company. I forget if it's the Watchtower Bible and Tract Society of New York or the Watchtower Bible and Tract Society of Pennsylvania. The point of Jehovah's Witnesses in Europe is to fight on behalf of people like Jehovah's Witnesses in Russia who've been arrested and are suffering persecution from the Russian government. So what they're trying to do is to help people in that situation. And they're doing it through affiliation with OSCE, which is another NGO member of the United Nations. OSCE is made up of parliamentary members throughout, I think, over 50 European countries. They meet several times a year, and OSCE stands for Organisation for Security and Cooperation in Europe. And they're basically...
You sound quite, like an hour on the phone, and I think I get charged a lot more on the mobile if I go over an hour.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, but it is interesting, it's interesting. I mean, you do obviously a lot of research by the looks of it. Looking at many, many things.
One final question, Mark. If you go to jw.org, it quotes the Insight book under your reference work or encyclopedia.
Under what, sorry,
the encyclopedia. If you go to jw.org, there's an encyclopedia there. It's the Insight book, Insight on the Scriptures.
Yeah, Insight on the Scriptures, yeah.
Yes. Under Apollyon, which is Volume 1, page 126, it says that Jesus Christ is Apollyon from the bottomless pit. I kind of find that rather blasphemous, the idea that Apollyon, which is a name for the devil, is the glorified Jesus Christ.
Are you somebody who is anti Jehovah's Witnesses?
Could you say that again, please? You were breaking up. Could you say that again?
Well, I'm getting to the end of it. Can I just call in that? I think I've gone over now.
Sorry, I'm listening to you.
Yeah, because I've got to 15 minutes now. I'm nearly off.
Okay. All right. Well, look, thank you very much for your time then, if you want to stop.
Okay. No problem.
Okay, thank you. Bye-bye.